Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wake Up Missoula. I am your host, Scott Ramp. I'm here to usher you into the weekend. It is August 20th. It's the weekend before my birthday, and I have a lot to talk about. Kicking things off, Afghanistan is on the microscope to the world as the U.S. military occupation ends and the Taliban blitz their way through to the capital city of Kabul, Afghanistan. For almost 20 years, the U.S. has occupied Afghanistan, and this last year, a deal was made with the Taliban for a peaceful exit in the U.S. military, which this, however, has not stopped the Taliban from occupying most of the country and now breathing down the necks of not only the U.S., but those that they leave behind. Afghan citizens are now in a constant state of waiting and seeing what will happen. The U.S. President Arif Ghani fled the country in what the media has called a hasty exit from Tuesday, the airport where the U.S. and supporters are being evacuated, while the Taliban have kept their promise to let the U.S. leave peacefully, although recent reports have been seeing people falling from planes, overly stalking them, big panic, a lot of stuff happening as well. NPR spoke with the spokesperson for from the Taliban, and the reporter Steve Inskeep was very hesitant at first. Shuhal Sahim says that that the U.S. will leave peacefully, encourage women to join them, and remain in government, but will require hijabs to be worn by all women of that country. The women have rights, work, and education, regardless of the hijab mandate, according to Shahim. In terms of punishments and old practices, because in the 90s, when the Taliban were in charge, they would cut people's hands off for stealing. So Shahim says that they will let the judges decide punishments. Very ambiguous. This was all for Tuesday and Wednesday so far. Many supporters of the U.S. occupation are worried that their fate, and many are looking to get out with the military. Taliban have been aggressive in their approach and have pushed for the U.S. to leave as soon as possible. Overall, Biden's exit strategy has been a failure, and it has been hard for those left behind, not to mention all the military stock and supplies left behind will be controlled by the Taliban. It's also the Pentagon's fault. They made the exit plan that Biden gave approval for, so there's lots to blame all around. In U.S. news this week, the third booster shot has been technically approved by the CDC. Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are being rolled out for September as the Delta variant climbs in numbers. The number of COVID in total jumped to 120,000 new cases in more than a month. Mid-July saw numbers over 30,000 cases daily to about 144,000 as of Wednesday this week. The plan to roll out these booster shots are set for September, which was originally when the TSA, Transportation Security Administration, federal mask mandate would be pulled. Anyways, this Delta variant is hitting the unvaccinated youth in a lot differently than the original virus. Although kids' deaths are very rare, the twice as contagious variant has schools worried about this upcoming school year. This other story caught my eye in the Missoula Current, which followed the city's attempt to collect data on Airbnb-type short-term rentals and how they could be used for long-term housing. Martin Kidston wrote the article for Missoula Current following a $23,000 budget request to look further into this by the city of Missoula. Opposition to this says that the city will use this to threaten people's businesses to lease out their property however they want. Up next, we have a new highlight of the Dude I Just Drew Season 2, Episode 9. So without further ado, here is a fun video featuring Rowan Lemus.
Welcome to Dude I Just Drew with a very special guest, Tyler.
Not Rowan.
Yes. We're drawing some drawings from that box. Protected COVID box.
COVID suggestions.
Yeah, protected from. What else is there? Is that it? Did I just explain what it all was?
I think that's the point of the show.
That'd be biased.
Beat you 0-5.
Yeah, that's right. 0-5. It's you who judges it. Let's get to drawing. What does it say?
A homeless house. That's cool.
That is incredible.
That's confusing.
That's gonna be
Time for some improv. Time to draw. That's not sharpened.
Get ready to draw.
Okay, so first, we're gonna draw a line.
It ain't it.
It
ain't no good.
Man. They're very tall, tall building stick figure.
They're tall people.
This drawing will probably change as I go,
I
because
suppose so.
yep, because more like, so it's a homeless house. So he's gonna be, you see, now here's where the drawing of the house comes, because where else would houses live in an alternative universe but people? I watched you a little bit.
You watched a little bit of my show.
Not just your show, but you in general.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Ooh, are you gonna put a house in the boxcar?
Yeah.
Because he's homeless, so he's sitting up. Oh, it's the kind of same idea.
It's the same idea. He's living. He's
Done differently.
done a little
Better than me for sure.
Oh, time's up, master.
Here we go. Some homeless houses.
Wow, what a homeless house.
Some homeless houses.
You really making fun of homeless people right now with homeless houses?
You're making fun of.
You dirty Fandango. Dude!
Mr. Buck.
Mr. Buck.
I'm drawing a very scary looking buck.
I don't like that. What if, did I ever tell you I'm scared of bucks?
Why would you say that
You're
out
an
of
awful
nowhere?
person. I'm saying because I knew it'd make you laugh.
Yeah,
You're
you
an
know,
awful
you
person.
know that like when something comes out of nowhere and I like laugh because of how shocking and awful it is.
Dude, how am I supposed to like draw something like that? You're just shooting this out of the water. That's awesome. We're gonna have to change. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do what Graham said. We're gonna have to change up my whole thing just to compete. Such a good artist.
Thank you.
What am I gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Dang, I literally was gonna draw kind of what you drew, and now I'm gonna draw a deer. Yeah, I'm gonna use your drawing as a
You're
base.
just gonna use my
No.
drawing as a base.
Sorta.
Goose with antlers. He calls himself Mr. Buck. That'd be cool.
It's Goose. His name's Mr. Buck, but you know.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
It's a top hat. I love this.
He has some little children.
Yeah, some little children,
Little-
the same size as him. It's about as big as he is.
Eldritch Goose.
I don't feel good about that at all.
Do you got enough
leaving
insight
mine.
for this, Graham? Look at that. COVID anime villain.
Oh. Are you gonna draw? Or are you just gonna look at me on the ground like that all day?
Probably the second thing. These are all COVID.
These all. Why do you keep drawing
And they
hats
have
on other
tough
guys?
ass. Because they're evil.
Oh, I see.
And guess what? They're all gonna have
You should
You're
have
gonna have the anime.
monocle.
eyes? Okay.
You should try to have angry eyebrows, just two.
Were you about to say
really
Angie?
solid- Angie.
Angie?
Angie. Get the Angie eyebrows.
Little baby arm. Attached
Little
to
baby.
that someone you don't know is stabbing COVID into him. Oh, sorry, I forgot the anime part.
Weeb.
Roll your chair over. Roll it.
There we go. Roll
Roll it. Because I know you could draw that.
He draws great. I think. Not now.
Man, time flies when you're talking about anime.
Yeah, we talk about anime.
And
I mean,
when,
like this
when
brought
you
up
just
anime.
decide to draw better than me.
And just decided to draw this character. George Costanza as MODOK. As-
I can't draw either of those
oh,
things.
MODOK. Thank you.
Yeah, no, actually, why do you keep doing this to me?
It's just fun. These are fun. These are fun, actually.
But Judge, you've always had a big head.
Jerry! Jerry! Can't be telling people that, Jerry. There we go, look. I'm sorry. Draw George Costanza now, you bully.
I can't draw.
You can't draw him!
Can't draw Jerry. We're gonna do little stubby legs.
What the heck?
It feels like MODOK and the Kool-Aid guy had a baby.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah!
He's gonna have his tongue just sticking out for no reason, really.
Woo!
George,
Wait, what?
George Costanza has a building. Why?
2 George Costanzas at a time?
I can't even draw one. Just gonna erase out where all the body parts are.
We're just gonna erase out where I'm gonna put the bodies.
Yep. Where I'm gonna put the body. Where I'm gonna put your body after you're done beating me and drawing.
I'm gonna put the body.
Tyler, you should just straight out have lightning coming out of his eyes and shocking that guy down.
That does sound awesome, actually.
It does sound incredible.
Just laser beams. So it's gonna have to be. Oh no, it's gonna.
Oh no! Keep that going, but make it like Dark Side, where just
Make
like,
it, yeah, the
little-
Omega
Oh my
beams.
God! No, you're
Make
right.
it the Omega beams.
You're right. There he is. Just shocking.
Oh.
Just shocking everyone he sees. You know what happens? He's just like a building, and it like does the whole entire setup. And then like after the person's just like, oh no, this isn't my house, dies by him, and then the bass theme comes in. Ba-dum, dum, dum, dum.
And time's up now. There you go. Jerry, I'm one of the square blockheads in Gumby.
Jerry! Jerry!
He's building another face building.
Are you gonna draw Jerry on that one?
Jerry,
Now I'm a building too.
No, I'm a building too. You're not as impressive as me.
Yeah, he looks all smug. You may have had the drawing upper hand, but oh man, did I have creativity.
Oh man, did he have creativity on his
Your
side.
art can't beat my improv. I lost my legs.
The Great Warrior lost his legs.
It's all Rowan's fault, really.
It is mine. I admit it.
No, he told me, Tyler, you do that again, I'll chop off
I'll
your
chop
legs.
off your
I
legs
swear
and
to
donate
God.
them to. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube. Sort of
Right.
subscribe to our YouTube, please. Hit that little bell.
Please.
Yes, please.
Please.
Hit that little bell to know when the new Dude Show comes on. New episode.
Subscribe so we can stop starving.
Yeah, Spreadshirt. Did I ever say Spreadshirt? Okay, Spreadshirt. Remember that's still there. You can check out my comic Punch Drunk on Shrine Comics. That's amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But anyways, it's been fun. Have a good night, evening. Have a good morning, whichever, where you are, wherever you are. And goodbye. See you next episode. Bye.
Hey guys, I'm standing slightly to the right. You know what that means. It's time for Precritic, where I prejudge a movie based on absolutely nothing but maybe the poster and a little bit of the synopsis, but I can pretty much gauge exactly what you can expect from these movies. We have a Hugh Jackman movie, sci-fi Hugh Jackman movie where he doesn't play Wolverine. He's a good singer, but regardless, you are guaranteed to be taken out of this movie again and again every time you see Hugh on screen. I assume this movie is about technology gaslighting you or trying to block memories that end up sparking a revolution. Future Detective cannot solve this case with future tech because the memories are fluid and then once thought. I probably should have read it rather than go off script. Anyways, watch Hugh Jackman run around circles just to end where he began, and the mystery will probably be solved and you'll be like, I don't need to watch this again. That's the problem with mystery movies, is like once you know the mystery, you know the deal. All right, now let's talk about, they finally did it. They blew it up. Imagine a world that is destroyed only to be brought back with talking dogs and animals that rule over humans and bring justice. Paw Patrol, the movie, stars the paws from the Paw Patrol, like that one character, and that other one that you know and what I'm talking about, because I don't. Paw Patrol follows an ever-growing puptopia, and you don't know what it's like being human in a dog-eat-dog world, literally. Up next, we have The Night House. Horror movie gets an open with a house that seems bigger than it actually is because of ghosts. Anyways, a recently widowed woman must survive the nightmare house. Apply named The Night House. You cannot even make this up. I'm assuming things start off okay. Some weird stuff kind of happen here and there, leading to destruction of the house in a fire that nearly kills the protagonist. But as it turns out, the house was only a jail for the evil spirits, blah, 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 instead of a sequel. Horror films are cheap to make, and if they make any more money, if they make any kind of profit, it's like, oh, we can do another one. And that's what happens. We got a speed round going on here. Let's gonna kick things off. So we have a lot of, oh my god, we have like 8 movies coming out this weekend. But let's talk about The Protege, about a woman who lost her father figure, Assassin Man, and must fight until she gets to the end. And it turns out that the man that she thought was dead, or maybe the organization that she thought she could trust, betrayed her. So there's always a big betrayal if you're doing an Assassin Cloak and Dagger type. Up next, we got Demonic Evil demon devil possession stuff with a shoehorned mommy issue to boot. The extra character will die, but the mom will probably sacrifice herself to save her possessed daughter, only to cause more harm for the rest of us in an unnecessary sequel. Up next, we got Risen, future dystopian society where humans are trying to survive in a harsh alien-controlled world that we're living in. So kind of like Paw Patrol, you don't give a dog a badge and assume that they're not going to overdo with the Scooby snacks. Anyways, Paw Patrol terraforms a small town. This next one is Flag Day. Drama with Sean Penn. Enjoy coming to terms with being an aging father looking back on his criminal past. But hey, he has a kid, so pity him. Then we have Habit. It's like the movie industry is like, what if OnlyFans cringe personalities get mixed up in a drug deal gone wrong and must use her wit to survive a drug bad people movie. Rare Beast. Hey, look, it's about human outcasts trying to connect with each other. But we'll probably forget all that gritty title and regulate to a rom-com, which is what it's being sold as. This movie will probably have a guy who checks all the boxes except one, this being a good movie. All right, so that's my Precritic sass for you guys this morning. Up next, we have another movie that I redubbed from the public domain movie from 1980, Monstroid. We are standing outside here of a miracle. Do you have any comments on what exactly has been going on here? Please elaborate.
It's really good to be on this television program.
I think you forgot that I'm the one that's being interviewed. See, my issue isn't necessarily with the youth of the nation, but the parents of the youth of the nation. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I guess so.
Now, how would you do that thing with your voice? You know, with the echo and the effect with the microphone?
It's not as complicated as it seems, but you just need a soundboard operator just so we can...
That might be a little too expensive.
Just call it an internship.
Oh, so what you're saying is that I can get a bunch of dumb college kids to pay to work for me?
Mm-hmm.
You hear that, everybody? The town's saved. We can get a bunch of free labor. Look into the Peace Corps. Whatever corps there is, there's always some kind of goodwill.
Well, I guess my next question for y'all is to figure out exactly what happened to this place and this church and the thing. But no. Well, this one guy was like saying, "Hey, you're really pretty." Well, what else did he say? Well, he said a lot of things to me, and I was like, "I don't think so, man." Well, you are our witness. Could you tell me what's happening or what's going on? Come on now. Well, the guy was like, "I'm from Wall Street, and I'm here to tell you something. I'm here to tell you that everything's going to be okay, and he has more money than he could ever offer anybody else." And I was like, that seems nice. That's what I just said. It was really nice. And I was like, I don't think so. I need to get to know you a little bit more, sir.
Hey, listen. This is my internal monologue. I'm trying to listen to what she's trying to say, but for some reason I just really can't grasp what she means by it.
Well, I'm getting kind of sick and tired of talking to you. Maybe there's someone else in this village that would like to talk a little bit more about what happened in the certain incidents and the certain things. Well, that seems perfectly fine, I guess. Maybe you can talk to my daughter. Please keep me out of this. But I didn't know what she would want to say to you. I'm just very, very concerned about the community and the water and the food and the economy and the taxation and all sorts of things.
Hey, what's going on in here?
Hey,
why is this lady being interviewed and not me? Come on, guys.
Get out of the way. I'm really
angry, and I like pointing more important than this one lady.
We all need some security up in here.
Let me grab you like I'm from the 80s. Do you realize what you're doing, wasting your time interviewing these yokels? Sure, it's an outdated term, but, people are local and they're like yokes, so they don't know so much, they haven't been fully developed, and you gotta understand that this is an ongoing situation. You can't just jump into it. And now it's my turn to talk.
You're a man. Who cares what you have to say?
Hey guys, welcome back. Let's kick things off with some city council. There's definitely a lot going on in terms of what's happening within your city, because they're talking about the final destination when it comes to the fiscal year 2022 budget. We look at the 2022 fiscal year as the city. We also must look back on the 2021 fiscal year in regards of the pandemic. So Mayor John Engen kind of kicks us off talking a little bit more about this.
Fiscal year 2021
presented unique budgeting opportunities as a function of the CARES Act, which provided financial help to local governments, along with other assistance to governments, NGOs, businesses, and individuals. Last year, we used CARES to support pandemic response and public safety efforts, as well as new programs intent on tempering the broader effects of the pandemic, particularly on the most vulnerable among us. Because of CARES Act funding, we were able to maintain a high level of service and expand programs to meet changing community needs, some pandemic related, some not. In addition, that funding allowed us to keep our tax levies flat. Fiscal year 2022 presents similar unique opportunities, and this budget takes advantage of those opportunities. When Congress passed President Biden's American Rescue Plan Act, I drafted guiding principles for the $14.2 million the city of Missoula will receive over 2 years from the act. To wit, city government must be sustainable and prepared for new emergencies to ensure the community thrives in the wake of the coronavirus epidemic. We will use resources appropriately to balance the city's budget through fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 2023. People come first in every investment we make, whether it's sustaining local government, maintaining, improving, or building new infrastructure to serve residents and visitors, supporting middle class and low income residents, providing assistance to small businesses, and addressing the pressing challenges of a post-pandemic environment. We will clearly communicate our reasons for spending ARPA funds and be exceptional stewards of these resources, ensuring that we account for expenditures in a thorough, understandable, accurate, and timely manner. And we will seek opportunities to combine existing resources and programs to stretch ARPA dollars.
All right. So as you heard, there's definitely a lot of information coming from the city in terms of how much money they're going to be getting from the CARES Act, the COVID relief act, not necessarily the acts, but the COVID relief bills that were passed over the last 2020 year. And so far, Missoula, the county and city will be using the $35 million which will be related to COVID-19 response and programs, homelessness, and support post-pandemic environment. And like he said, for the next 2 years, the city of Missoula will have the $4+ million to invest in this kind of stuff. And just so you guys know as well, is that there are a lot of guidelines for where the money goes. And so if they aren't able to achieve the goals of providing proof of what the money goes to, then they are not eligible for that money. So that's kind of how grants work in terms of a lot of this stuff. But let's get into the nitty-gritty details of the 2022 fiscal year. The plan to move into the Missoula Federal Post Office is in part along with the extending and expanding the mobile crisis unit through the fire department, additional police services with the Missoula Municipal Court, elections, Learn Missoula, Missoula Affordable Housing Trust, and various other goodwill projects to help homeless and those struggling with home. $2.7 million will go to the trust, the housing trust, from grants and sales of government-owned properties. Here's a disclaimer from John Engen to any kind of misconceptions you might have about the budget upcoming.
I'd like to emphasize that these goals and investments are not exclusive of all of the day-to-day work and initiatives the city of Missoula is already engaged in, nor do they account for the fact that we may face unexpected opportunities or challenges that may require us to adapt or change these priorities during the course of the year. I also look forward to hearing from residents about our stewardship of these collective resources as council continues its deliberations. I thank you for your service and consideration in reviewing this document and all of our budget materials with care.
All right, so the end-all budget and everything is available online. This is part of a public hearing. They're going to officially vote on this on Monday, the 23rd, is when they'll have the final vote on the budget. This is where they have the meeting that goes into longer hours if they have any amendments they want to add to it. But so far, basically, as soon as March, April happens is when they start doing the budget committee of the whole, in which I will do the final budget committee of the whole, which happened on Wednesday, which kind of followed all the public works departments, including the water company. They can bring up the budget anytime if need be. Lee Griffin, a finance director for the city, speaks on the budget, and this is what Lee had to say.
Annual appropriations, that is the budget and community improvement program. The permissive medical levy, which is a levy that we're allowed to increase or decrease to help cover some healthcare costs. Fee increases, business licensing, wastewater hauler, a few fire and police fees, and the budget and work plans for the road district, park district, business improvement district and tourism improvement districts.
All right, so that kind of went. Well, actually, it probably didn't give you much information in terms of that, but so far, taxes are going down, but like 40 cents per $100,000 home. So it adds up, and the more expensive your home is associated with the tax levy, but some more expensive homes will not feel like the 40-cent decrease a month. So Stacey Anderson speaks on the lowering, and this is what Stacey Anderson had to say about this.
We're not able to basically use that money as general fund and lower mills accordingly, even more significantly. That the lowering of mills really has to do with an increase in taxable value, that we are not allowed to use that ARPA funding. So if somebody thinks that one of the programs, for example, that we're using ARPA funds is superfluous and just says, well, why can't you just lower my taxes instead of paying for XYZ program? We're not legally allowed to. I just want to make sure I have that correct understanding.
All right. So what she was kind of referring to is like with all the COVID money and COVID relief money and grants and other things associated with them, they have to have a primary focus, and they're not just money that can be used for discretionary funds. Taxes never go down. Some bonds and levies expire, but there always be others to replace them. A couple public comments got off the rails, but I wanted to include some because it's important to get new perspective once in a while. Here's Bob Campbell talking a little bit more about how he feels about the budget.
I think we need to reconsider where it is we're putting our ARPA money. My understanding is it's something to be used over a span of 1, 2, possibly 3 years. It's not burning a hole in our pocket. We don't need to spend it all today. We're throwing a lot to Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which, is another government takeover of the housing situation in Missoula to the point where, when ARPA funding runs out, where are we going to get the funding to maintain that level of service for those folks? It's going to come down to general fund revenue, I believe, and taxation for those that have homes elsewhere in Missoula and trying to keep in their homes. I care for the folks in Missoula. I care for those that have lived here their whole lives. I care for people able to get into the housing market now, but it just seems a lot of these things are making it more and more difficult for people to get in that situation going forward.
All right. So one of the big misconceptions from a lot of people is, the city of Missoula buying up properties so they can provide more affordable housing for people to stay in Missoula. And then at the same time, a lot of people are saying that there should be more houses being built and letting developers to develop more housing so to help lower the pricing of houses. But with the assessments and the homes and people wanting to move here, there's not going to be much movement when it comes to the number of housing prices. There's definitely a supply issue just on all around the United States, but also Missoula is becoming a very popular place for people to move, and that does not help a lot of people who are in Missoula who wish to stay in Missoula, and that is something that the city is trying to do on many fronts, including doing these affordable housing and community affordable housing trust, which isn't necessary for building affordable housing as it is more for keeping people in their homes. So just a little bit more background to kind of go on that, because I've talked about this many times, and the housing issue is not just a Missoula-centric issue. It is a national issue, even though Missoula also has very low wages. So it's hard to live in Missoula. It's basically as expensive as living in any other bigger city, but the wages don't match. So I don't want to get too much into it. And so far, let's talk a little bit more about emergency services and police departments that I have watched are pretty well covered, with a couple other asked about both departments being on hold for grants and other funding opportunities. You can watch those meetings where they go more into detail about the police department and the fire department in terms of how they're being funded, but it seems like it's going to be a lot of the same, but with many other funding opportunities. But of course, these were the items open for public comment, and the final vote beyond the August 23rd. You can contact your your ward representative, and you have until Monday to give your final public comment on this. But let's move on. So one of the big things that the city is trying to do is trying to become a JEDI, which stands for a just, equitable, diverse, and inclusive city. In Missoula is on for a final consideration. This was a result of Montana's legislature attempt and success at denying rights to transgender youth, especially the success in terms of preventing trans youth from participating in their gender sport. So this is an official statement by the city of Missoula to reaffirm that the city's values do not reflect Montana's legislation rulings. So the city councilman Myrta Becerra talks more about this.
In order for us to know how and where to fix or install sidewalks, for example, we first do an inventory. before we decide what streets need to be resurfaced, we first assess the condition of the pavement. This work is no different. We need to identify where our system is broken so that we can then fix it. Ensuring that Missoulians have access to resources and opportunities, regardless of their skin color, culture, background, etc., is important. And therefore, I think resources should be allocated to this work, much like we do any other department that works to improve the quality of life of our residents.
All right. So one of the big things that the city did last year was initiate a thing called Learn Missoula, and it was supposed to, and it's $100,000 used to move towards collecting data on figuring out exactly what social equity is all about here in the city of Missoula, not pertaining to the BIPOC population. So, City Council member Sandra Vasica speaks against this, particularly. This is what she had to say.
I want to reiterate what I said during the previous resolution and expand upon that. All Montanans, all Americans, all refugees and legal immigrants are absolutely welcome here. We don't need resolution after resolution to say that. I would rather us just be welcome to everyone than make specific accommodations. What you do is up to you. You as an individual have the right to pursue happiness as you so choose. I don't think it's up to the government to decide that for you. So with the whole resolution, I am in support of what the resolution says, but I am not in support of spending over $220,000 of our taxpayer dollars. So therefore, respectfully, I will not be supporting this today.
All right, and that's what Sandra Vasica had to say about that. Let's see. The question raised by the resolution is, what is this for? Is more government better for minority populations? How is the government interference reduced racism? A couple conservative voices on council echoed this, and Jesse Ramos reflects on social equity in Missoula as a government oversight is not a public good, and this is what Jesse Ramos said about this.
Bureaucracy is funded by the people who are supposedly trying to help. I think that we can, in effect, what we're doing is always looking out for number one, which is the government, and we don't want to take any of the hard steps that are necessary to actually achieve justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion in this community, which I've been suggesting, everywhere from the fines, fees, surcharges to the red tape, because all of those are revenue streams to the government. So no, I will not be supporting this tonight, not because I don't support justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, but because I certainly do. And this, unfortunately, is a benefit only to the politicians and the bureaucracy, but not the actual citizens who we claim to help. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Jesse Ramos also went into detail saying that this would be a political bump and not necessarily help people. This is kind of a reaction to having to do something and basically doing the bare minimum, according to the conservative side. Okay, regardless of what you at home believe, the city is willing to spend money to seem less racist, of the equivalent of. If they don't, they are, but if they do, they could always be. So it's always a big confusing matter. So John Engen answers the big question, why bother? And this is what he had to say about this.
I believe that government is well, in fact, local government in particular is the formal social contract whereby we create rules and regulations, but we also create opportunities and chances, and we do that through our collective investment. We do that by electing people to represent our interests and our values. And if we're not doing it, I don't know who the hell is going to do it.
All right. So you heard John Engen himself speaking on social equity and how the city of Missoula is moving forward with the city vote in favor of Jedi with a 9-2 vote. Up next, we have the last budget committee of the whole meeting for the fiscal year 2022, which begins in January. One of the things that they're talking about is public works. And just so you guys know, they're going to start raising the rates on your water, but not by too much, but a little bit is still like, okay. So Public Works has 5 presenters of the 2022 budget, and they're talking about infrastructure, roads departments. There's just a lot of things that the city of Missoula does. Jeremy Keene talks about water pricing and more within the city of Missoula.
All this really comes back to providing value. A couple of examples. The average household cost for a gallon of water is 0.4 cents from Missoula Water. If you had to buy that same water in a bottle, it would cost you $1.15 a gallon. That's 287 times more expensive. The average household pays about $9 a month in road district. So for 30 cents a day, you get your streets plowed, swept, striped, maintained. This lets you get to work, to school, lets you get food, lets you get your Amazon deliveries. Think about what other services you pay for that provide you better value.
All right, so that's what Jeremy Keene had to say in just terms of your monthly payments and what you put into your public works department. And up next, he talks a little bit more about your tax money at work. If you are worried about potholes, you can you direct the city to that problem area, and I will tell you a little bit more about how you can do the chip and seal project. So please speak up to your ward rep and stop complaining to the gods about potholes that you're worried about on your street, because you can just as easily go onto the website, and I'll show you that later. But Jeremy Keene talks about Vision Zero, and this is what it is.
We want to eliminate serious and fatal injuries on our streets. This idea of Vision Zero is something that's been adopted statewide. We're adopting it locally as well. We think that our streets need to be safe. And we're committed to helping support 600 housing units each year. This is the target number that's identified in our growth policy. That number will change over time as our population demographics change, but Public Works plays a role in helping provide that housing supply. And we're committed to reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. Public Works as a department is responsible for the greatest share of greenhouse gas emissions of any city department. We think that we can attain a 10% reduction in the next 5 years with attainable measures that we can do right now. So things like pump replacement, leak reduction, adding solar power to our facilities, looking at how carbon capture and green infrastructure affect that greenhouse gas footprint, and looking at green power purchase.
All right, so let's see here. Let's go on over to the next part. So this department has nearly $80 million annual budget that comes from $30 million from ratepayers, $15 million for grants and so on, and many other fees during the permitting and developing in the growing Missoula. Hey, when developers want to build a house, they have to have the infrastructure put in place so they can hook up to water, sewer, heck, even stormwater. So a lot of that has to be done, and first and foremost, before you start developing, you have to really make sure that you have all these hookups, hence what the importance of public works within the city of Missoula to maintain and sustain our water infrastructures. So Aaron Wilson talks about roads and safety for transportation in Missoula. This is another part of the presentation, and this is what he had to say.
This is really critical in what we do. We know from research across the country that it's not just the infrastructure you build, but it's also how you highlight that infrastructure and help people understand how to use it and encourage that multimodal transportation. And Missoula in Motion is a national leader in TDM. We had the opportunity to talk to transit professionals from across the country who were here for a conference last week. We did a bike tour, and many of them indicated that they look to Missoula as their peer city of what to do around TDM. And so this will help us continue that work and work with the businesses and developers that we've had a significant increase in contact in working on TDM plans and thinking about how we implement that multimodal transportation.
And as you saw from the slide, it was just kind of like their funding for Missoula in Motion. So let's see. Aaron's department within long-range planning for transportation, addressing street projects and potential dangerous intersections within the purview of the city of Missoula. Sorry, Reserve and Mullen, your Montana Department of Transportation issue. The Infrastructure and Mobility Department is asking for less than last year's budget, but usually works with grants. The total 2020 ticket price for roads and infrastructure for the city of Missoula is $1.5 million, which is about $300,000 less than last year. The Missoula City of Water Department is up next talking about the water company's budget. Logan McInnes, Deputy Director from the Water Utility, talks a little bit more about this.
As you all know, we leak a lot of water into the ground. So number one goal around here always needs to be about leakage. So as Jeremy and Ross have talked about previously, our goal is to ramp up our investment in water main replacements to 1% per year. The last 4 years, we've only been doing about 0.3% per year. This year, we're projecting about 0.6%. And we also intend to invest in new technology and training to find and fix leaks. So we can't just replace mains, we also need to find leaks that are occurring out in the system.
And just to give a little bit more background, the city of Missoula, while acquiring the water company, formerly known as Mountain Water, they did a a deep focus and a test of exactly what are the standards of the water company, and they found Missoula leaks somewhere between 8 to 12 football fields worth of water every year. The cost to replace the entire infrastructure is very expensive without increasing levies and the rates for the payers. They plan on working this on a 100-year plan with the 1% desired approach, which is to replace 1% of all the piping in the water's infrastructure a year. So, and it's a plan that they've been trying to push forward for, and like you heard from Logan, is that it's 0.3% for 2021, but we also had to deal with the coronavirus and a lot of that. But infrastructure, for the most part, that transports waters lasts 20 to 100 years, so the pipe itself basically has the potential to last 100 years, but it also has a short term of 200 years. You have a bunch of flowing water going through a pipe. Of course, there's going to be some kind of erosion whatsoever, and it's a pretty large gap of time when replacing the pipe. And I remember an ex-city council member said who used to work on putting in pipe in the infrastructure replaced a former wooden pipe that used to be here in Missoula in the 60s, replaced with an old World War II recycled metal pipe. So, suffice to say, our water infrastructure in Missoula is a joke, but it's moving forward, and they're trying to work really hard to make sure that the pump in the leak is not wasting water. Missoula's water rates for most people in Missoula about $40 a month. Butte is a bit more, and Whitefish tops at nearly $50 a month. Kalispell and Great Falls are among the cheapest, with about half that rate, about $20 a month for their water bill. Logan talks about money. So this is what he wants. This is the request from the Public Works, the water utility budget overview, and this is what Logan is requesting in terms of budgeting for the fiscal year 2022.
Bottom line, again, an increase from previous year, largely in that capital item, where it's going to be a big year for capital, about 11.6 million. And unfortunately, the last year or two has been pretty challenging to deliver projects, due to COVID, due to the inflation increases you've heard about. And then it took us time to obtain the SRF financing. There was a lot of delays with project bidding. And so by the time we bid projects this year, we just got clobbered on bids. So now we're really well positioned to bid a bunch of projects out over the winter when you really should be bidding projects out.
Yep, and as you know, that Missoula, during the wintertime, it's all about projected projects and roads and infrastructure for the spring and summer seasons, and then basically it's all the planning phases are all happening in the winter, so anything that needs to be proposed or permitted, the best time to do it is probably as soon as September, October, and as late as November, which honestly, I wouldn't suggest any developer do. Let's see. As you can see, about $26 million for this year. Let's bring up the slide again. I won't play the audio, but you can see the slide again. And you can see the proposed budget is $26 million compared to the $24 million right there. Capital, which is the money that they're willing to invest within the infrastructure, looks like it's about $3 million more that they want to do in terms of putting more, trying to reach that goal of having 1% of pipes being replaced every year. So wastewater is also changing and increased the rates by $1.33 a month is being requested. They also mentioned that the rate hasn't increased for 3 years. Stormwater will be increase of 3%. Brian Hensel, the guy you talked to about street maintenance, talks about the chip and seal deal in the city of Missoula, and this is what he had to say.
The city is fortunate that we have all the equipment necessary to do our own chip seal. I'm not aware of any other municipalities, maybe Kalispell, they have everything. But we're lucky to have all that. And this year, it was my 21st year as a chip sealing for the city. And the first day out, our chip spreader broke down. It's a machine that's 25 plus years old. We were not able to get parts for about 16 weeks. And I scrambled and called everybody in the state who I could think that had a chip spreader, but everyone uses chip spreaders this time of the year. And I finally found a backup for a backup that I was able to get working.
All right. So as you can see, so far the accomplishments from 2021, 14 miles of chip seal project, not counting the patches of potholes, which is nearly 7,200 potholes in the city of Missoula. So if you're concerned that they're not doing their job, they're clearly doing their job. Nearly 7,200 potholes are pretty big chunk of potholes in the city of Missoula. But as always, as I transition out of this meeting, I'm going to show you exactly how to request for a pothole to be filled up. And you got to understand that if you're within the city limits, they will be able to help you. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. You go to ci.missoula.mt.us. Ooh, look at this. You go to how do I? I don't know. I don't need to be so loud. But report a concern. Ooh, look at this. Report a pothole. Right there in the middle. There's a lot of things right there, but if you have any kind of concerns or anything like that, you can also request some stuff. You can sign up for committees, register, and all that stuff. But first and foremost, report a pothole. You click on it. It'll bring you to this page right here. You put your contact information right here so they can ask you some more questions about it, specific location, and the intersecting street that is closest to. So this is all you really have to do, and and then they get on it. They don't have Public Works does not have people patrolling around the city of Missoula making sure that all the potholes are filled. That is a waste of money, and they are doing it mostly done through complaint driven and basically just word of mouth. People calling in, people emailing them, but that's the great way of getting information to you is through that. So that kind of wraps up everything that's happening within the budget. You can find out more information by going onto that website I just showed you, ci.missoula.mt.us. There's a lot going on. I'm going to be having a lot more, especially next week, and talking about how people are going to feel about the 2022 fiscal year budget, which will be approved on Monday, if not a week later. All right, so right now I have an art clip for you guys, and this is art featured at the Missoula Art Museum right now, and this is Anne Apley. If you guys are interested in checking out the MAM, be sure to check them out during their public hours. They are open. They are free admission, free expression. Oh yes, I love the Missoula Art Museum. It's such a great place to go to and check out a lot of those wonderful art installations. There's always a new installation every month in which they kick it off with the First Friday event, which happens the first Friday of every month. All right, moving on. Let's talk about some events that are happening in town right before I wrap up my show. Bike to Barns 2021. This is a big bike event that's happening today, on Saturday, and on Sunday, starting now, basically. Target Range and Orchard Homes. Register is now open. The third annual Bike to Barns event is a bike adventure tour with 10 plus farm stops and up to 15 miles. Packets include your bike route map, meal voucher, farm stand coupons, and scavenger hunts. And just so you know, Target Range area, this is a wonderful place to go check out as well. It's all in that area. If you actually go in that particular area, there's a lot of amazing, cool farms, and that's the best place to go if you're looking for a pumpkin during the pumpkin patch season. So just a word to the wise there. Free lunches by Missoula Food Bank. Kids eat free pretty much all summer long, and they're going to be wrapping up the summer as soon as school starts, but do not be afraid because Missoula Food Bank still offers kids free meals, after school programs, and all that stuff as soon as school begins. 10 a.m. at various locations. The mobile meal bus will be meeting at the Sisson University University Apartments. I'm sorry if I totally mispronounced that. The Silvertiff and Creekside Apartments, Travois Village, Futura Mobile Home Park, all from 11 to about 1 p.m. They'll be jumping around those places. The library is from 11:30 to about 1 p.m. here at the Missoula Public Library East, 455 East Main Street. All right, what else is there? And also, if you go to their headquarters on Wyoming Street, they have breakfast and lunch, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Breakfast and lunch Monday, Tuesday, Thursday from 2 to 7. A lot of numbers. Just call ahead. You can check it out pretty much anytime. Missoula Food Bank is a wonderful place for anybody of all economic status, and also a great way to check out some of their demonstration kitchens they have on the second floor where they teach cooking classes. It's wonderful. Hands-on Science, Plants, and Animal Spectrum Discovery Center is hosting Discovery Bench from 2 to 6 Tuesday through Saturday. This week, they're plants and animals. No registration required. Drop your kid off. Have them learn about science and all that stuff. Kicking off at 2 p.m. pretty much most days here at the public library. Bacon and Brew Festival. Hey, what two best combinations both start with a B? Bacon, beer, brewskis. I don't know why I did that. The 9th annual Cherry Creek Media and Missoula Napa Auto Parts Bacon and Brew Fest is returning to downtown Missoula this Friday, today, from 4 to 9 p.m. Get ready for the most delicious bacony and brewery day of the year, the Bacon and Brew Festival. Live music, food vendors, goodies, and of course the stars of our show, Bacon and Brew. Stoneware Workshop, Hearts of Fire Pottery and Art Studio. Come experience the reactive, specially glazed on stoneware. Unlike the regular pottery, these pieces are made from high-fire stoneware clay, which is oven, microwave, freezer, and dishwasher safe. The best part, the results will amaze you. Come see yourself. The price is starting at $30. It's mostly for your own supplies, but it's a great way to be part of this. And also, you can always go to the Clay Studio of Missoula, which has their own kiln as well. Missoula Paddleheads Baseball is happening Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 7 p.m., 5 p.m. on Sundays, and they're going to be going against Missoula Paddleheads versus Boise, Idaho. And that's pretty much wraps up your Friday night. If you're interested in doing some Saturday shenanigans, you don't want to stay out late tonight, wake up early, join the farmers market. You've got the River Street Market, which is formerly under the Higgins Bridge, but now is in front of Karis Park for the time being during construction. Pine Street has the People's Market where you can buy some knickknacks and stuff. It's in front of the Thomas Mar Bar, and also kind of that area near Jimmy John's. That's right. And then the Red X's also have the OG Farmers Market, which has been going on for quite a long time, and it's definitely a great opportunity to do so. And speaking of opportunities, if you're an aspiring actor, this is the place to do it. Is the Zootown Arts Community Center is hosting an intro to film acting. This is I believe, over $100 for an all-day workshop from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Includes headshots, a hands-on learning experience intended to give an overlook of the film industry, acting techniques, and provide a safe environment for active feedback from industry professionals. Our goal is to inform, educate, and ensure that all attendees leave with basic skills and headshots, materials needed to continue to strive to reach their goals in the entertainment industry. Pet Fest is at Karis Park as well, so if you're planning on going out to the farmers market and stuff, the best time to do it is probably sometime around 10 a.m. because bring your pet. Or you can go there to leave with a brand new furry friend. It's filled with family-oriented education contests, shopping, and cuddly pet adoption at Karis Park. Visit the Pet Fest are encouraged to enter contests with the traditional prizes to be won, the coveted Olympic medals, plus prizes from local businesses. Moon Randolph Homestead is open on Saturdays from 11 a.m. to about 5 p.m. These are tours, and you get to see one of Montana's many historic homesteads here in Missoula. Dunrovin's 2021 Quinn Art Extravaganza. And so part of this is where they paint horses to have some cool, unique design. It's basically painted horses. It's a lot more than that. It is an opportunity for artists to do this and do a family-friendly event using live horses as a canvas. Sign up for the EAE for a 2.5-hour time slot to watch these artists at work, enjoy food by the River City Eats, and maybe even do a little art yourself. And this starts at 10:30 a.m. and it goes in well into the afternoon to the early evening, where they're going to let the horses run wild and run free, get some beautiful shots of those horses as well. Fix It Clinic, the home resource. A Fix It Clinic is an event where community members can bring their worn, broken, or malfunctioning items for help learning to repair them. Skilled volunteers help repair those items by sharing their knowledge and skills. The results is technology. Oh wow, they're just like throwing a bunch of big words in there. I did not read this beforehand, but the whole idea is to empower people to be able to fix things themselves with hands-on learning. And just, oh man, just as soon as I swallow some dust, I start coughing. Snap Communication presents live music at at the zoo. So live music at Bonner Park. And that happens at 6 p.m. on Saturday night. It's a wonderful resource for people to just hang out on Saturday. If you're interested in doing some things out and about on Saturday night, you got a country band. Caleb Clowder is playing at the Longstaff House. Solid Sound Karaoke is going to be at the West Side Lane Bowling Alley. DJ Auntie E is going to be at Union Club. The Connor Trio is going to be at Stave and Hoop Speakeasy, some jazz music, and then some DJ music every Saturday at 10 p.m. at the Batlander. Sunday, Target Range Farmers Market. If you're interested in going to the farmers market and you missed on Saturday, you can go to Target Range. Farmers Market is open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and is at the Target Range Elementary School. Excuse me. Missoula Summer Maid Fair. Karis Park is hosting the Maid Fair from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can buy all sorts of knickknacks and patty whacks. Give that dog a bone since you already adopted a dog from the day before. The Summer Missoula Maid Fair is a modern, handcrafted, open-air market. The show features over 150 local and regional artists selling unique, one-of-a-kind creations, nonprofits, a family care area, and local food and beverages. Enjoy! Full Moon Drum Circle. If you have a drum at home and you're just like, hey, I wish I could be in a drum circle, Sunday night's the night for you at Kiwanis Park, starting at 7 p.m. For the full moon, they're going to have a drum circle, and they're going to play for the full moon. So it's going to be early evening. Nights are getting a lot shorter, so sundown is about 8:30, 8:15, I've noticed. I could be wrong, though. I'm losing a lot of sense of time, but regardless of that, you have the full moon drum circle that starts at 7 p.m. at Kiwanis Park on Sunday. All right, that pretty much does it for my morning show. I had a full show for you guys, a lot to talk about, especially when you're talking about the city budget. So much money, so many things happening as well. But I wanted to thank you guys for joining me this morning, and for Wake Up Missoula, I'm Scott Ramph.